Today, we cover Nomadic Massive, critical mass heading to the Climate Action Camp, and Jane at the 2110 Center, right now on CUTV News. Welcome to CUTV News. This is Elsa.
And this is Clifton. This week I spoke with the director of the 2110 Gender Advocacy Center about the film Jane.
But first, let's take a look at Nomadic Massive, a multi-ethnic group that was playing in Montreal this week.
What's up? Hey yo! Nomadic Massive will be blessing the stage tonight. This is a native.
The show tonight is just revives some of the classics from the 90s hip hop, more specifically Native Tongues, Bossy. So we're talking about the founding members of like Jungle Brothers, Tribe Called Quest, and De La Soul. So what we decided to do, we decided to collaborate with Ground Food, live musicians, so like to just revamp all these classics, so name it. So even affiliates from Black Sheeps to Moni Love to Jay Dilla. Basically the concept will have, like the title of the night is Nomadic Massive meets Ground Food. So we have Nomadic Massive vocalists and also guests, and everyone will be spitting the original verses. One of the original verse from the classic, and followed by the chorus, and then spit one of their verses just to make it fresh, give it like a neo twist. You know? So that's basically the concept, and it's live tonight at Full Buzz.
Most likely because the Native Tongues were an American crew, most likely will be English, but since we all rap in other languages, there are some other languages that will be coming in with the personal verses. And there's also a song by MC Solar, it's called Obsolete, which, you know, MC Solar is an MC from France from that same era, who was influenced musically by the production and the music production of the Native Tongues and that whole jazzy hip hop. So we incorporated that into it. So you have one song fully in French, which is representing the French side of the jazzy hip hop era.
I think it's really about hip hop and more bringing together the jazz and the musicality that was out there in the 90s that sometimes is missing today in today's hip hop, no matter what language you're speaking in, you know, production-wise. So I think that was the genius of the idea. I don't think it has anything to do with language per se. It's universal, really.
And because it's universal, I just wanted to touch on that, is that the language, maybe the most important part is that the content and the themes of a lot of the songs, like the kind of stylized, very unique stylized ways of rapping that has kind of faded out into there's a more of a monocultural way of approaching hip-hop music today, whereas a lot of kids weren't exposed. Like when we were younger, I think there were so many different styles of rappers. Nobody could sound the same, you know? And so just to bring that back into, you know, I mean, we're hip-hop junkies, and that's what we grew up on, and that's really, I guess, just remembering where we came from, what we listened to, and making sure that maybe people that weren't exposed to that, whether because they didn't live in North America at all before they arrived here, and now they're for the first time, or they grew up and they forgot about it.
When I went to school, I carried lunch in the bag with an apple for my music.
I guess it's probably to bridge, you know, the old and the new, like the new generation who didn't grow up with that music and want to discover that music. You know, it's kind of make it accessible to everybody, and also it's to unite a lot of people with the same mind and being nostalgic a bit, you know, and thinking about these days, and you know, happy to like, you know, share that, you know, what we grew up with, and you know, to a new generation.
And I think representing it with live music the way you're doing it, that's what I'm talking about. It's also, to, you know, show the young youths out there that are into hip hop that it can also be represented live. So I really like that idea when Waahli came to us with the idea of bringing a live band to really represent it. Because there's many ways it could have been represented, and I think this is a really good way to do it. So I'm glad to be a part of it.
Peace.
In a couple of weeks, we're going to show you footage on the Climate Action Camp, but first, we're going to show you footage on a cyclist who's actually biking his way there.
Today we're here to cover a critical bike mass that will start the first day of the Climate Action Camp. The Climate Action Camp will be held in Dunham, Quebec, where members of the community who have not found a ride to get there will be biking all the way today. 6 hours is the ride. We're going to speak to members of the community to see what they're expecting from the camp and why they think it's even important to bike all the way to there.
The camp where it is in Dunham, it's important because Dunham is the site of a proposed pumping station, which is a part of and the most integral piece of infrastructure for the Enbridge Trailbreaker pipeline project. It's a pipeline that would run from the Alberta Tar Sands across North America, through Quebec, across the island of Montreal, eventually ending up in Portland, Maine, where the tar sands bitumen would be loaded onto oil tankers to be refined in the Gulf Coast of Texas. So it's really linking the tar sands, one of the most destructive projects on the planet, into Quebec, and it's just making the tar sands footprint even bigger than it already is. I guess as the call out said, it was pedal power and people power. So it's it's really, and one of the main goals of Climate Camp is to embody and demonstrate the solutions to an issue such as climate change that we're talking about, and one of those would be sustainable transportation, bicycles, and to use people power to get to a camp that is supposed to be and is, powered by the people that are going to be there. You can find more info on the camp at www.uncampment.net, UNCAMPEMENT, or you can check out the Climate Justice Montreal website, climateactionmontreal.wordpress.com.
I recently interviewed the director of the 2110 Gender Advocacy Center about a film they aired, Jane, which is a film documenting the illegal abortion clinics that were in operation in Los Angeles prior to the legalization of abortion. Hi, this is Clifton Nicholas from CUTV News. Tonight we're covering the showing of the film Jane at the 2110 Center for Gender Advocacy at Concordia University.
My name is Bianca Mugyeny. I'm the Programming and Campaigns Director at the 2110 Center for Gender Advocacy. Jane is it's a really important part of feminist history that I think often gets forgotten, but it's basically a film about a collective of women, about 120 women who were seeing their friends, people in their communities dying because there was not access to abortion. This was in the 60s in the US in Chicago. And they decided to get together and provide this access. And ultimately ended up providing over 11,000 safe abortions.
Thanks for tuning in to CUTV News. I'm Elsa.
And I'm Clifton. We're looking for editors, so send us an email.
We'll see you next week.
It's just that way.